Hey folks, welcome back. This is part 2 of the deer processing. You can watch part 1 in the attached video to see exactly how we got to this point. This is going to be the grind video. So we've already processed the deer, quartered everything out, got all of the meat off of all of the quarters, and basically cut it up in strips or chunks, and we're now going to grind it. As mentioned in the previous video, I grind probably 80%, 90% of the deer because we eat a lot of ground. Between ground for burger or sausage, as well as a couple other things here and there. But as you can see inside the bucket, it's all chunked up and it's all ready to go. And I'll put it through the grinder and we'll get it nice and ground up. And then from there, we'll start the process of mixing the fat with it. It will not take long with this grinder because this thing is a beast. As you can see, I've got this little thing I can use to push down. I do my best to, you don't want to take and put your hands down through the hole to potentially get your hand or finger stuck down in there, get caught. So they give you this, you get it, push all your meat down, and it helps force it as well to get it to go through. There's like a little corkscrew inside the unit that takes and grabs all the meat and pulls it, while there's a blade that also cuts it. So something to note, I did clean all the meat. So after I got it all off the bone and chunked it all up and got it in the bucket, I stuck it in the refrigerator for 24 hours. I pulled it all out, I took it inside, and I got everything, all of it washed off. So I went into the sink, I got a big old colander, and I rinsed all of it off real good, get as much of the blood off of it that sort of sat there over the course of the past 24 hours, get all that rinsed off. And then stick it back in the bucket, and then I bring it out here and I start grinding it. So there is 35 pounds of meat in this bucket. I weighed it out earlier. Got a total of 35 pounds that we're going to grind up. And then with that 35 pounds, I'm going to add, I don't know, maybe 8 to 9 pounds of fat. And that'll basically give me a 20%-ish ratio for the meat to be able to have 20% fat and 80% meat. So the grinder I recently got, it was actually a Christmas gift from my parents. It's from Cabelas. It's their commercial grade grinder. Since we do a lot of grinding, I have another grinder that I've used for years, and it worked great. This is just sort of an upgraded model, and so we got it, and it's worked out pretty well so far. So let me add, my parents got it for me for Christmas last year. So I got it for Christmas last year, and this year I've used it about 4 or 5 times now, and it's worked really well for what we're doing. I'm getting down to the bottom of the bucket, and there's a lot more blood and stuff like that in the bottom of the bucket. Even though I washed it, it still, bleeds out. So I'm squeezing as much of that blood and that water off as possible, in order to keep it out of the grind itself. I'm not going to get it all out, but I'm trying to get as much as I can out. That blood is where a lot of that gamey flavor comes from in deer. So if I can take and continue to get as much of it out as possible throughout the whole process of quartering the deer and cutting all the meat up, and after I finish quartering it and I put it in the cooler on ice and salt for 2 or 3 weeks, all that's I'm doing everything I can to get as much of the blood out of it as well, in order to help keep the gamey flavor out. Alright, so now I am done with all of the ground for the actual deer meat itself. I am now getting ready to grind up the fat. I've got a local place that I go and I get the fat. In this case, I've got pork fat because I'm going to be making sausage with this. So I try to use beef fat and the deer meat for the hamburgers that or the burger meat that we make up. And then for the sausage, I try to use pork fat. Sometimes you can get it, sometimes you can't. So there are times where I might make sausage with beef fat because I couldn't get pork fat. And there may also be times where I make burgers with pork fat because I couldn't get beef fat at the time. So sometimes it's hit or miss, and I might have to mix and match the fats with whatever we're going to end up doing. But in this case, I do have pork fat, so I'm using that fat that I'm getting ready to grind to mix with this, and then we'll make the sausage. All right, I have now mixed the meat and the fat in the right ratios, got everything completely weighed out. Inside this bucket, I have 20 pounds of deer and 6 pounds of fat. That's slightly over the 80-20, but the fat that I do have, it has a little bit of pork that's mixed in with it, so when they trim it out, you have the fat and then you have a little bit of pork on it too. So I want to give a little bit more of that into this mixture. That way I have a little bit more of a fat ratio in it. As you can see, it's like I said, it's already in there, so I've already got it chunked up in with it. And now I'm just getting to a point now where I'm going to start stirring it and getting it all good and mixed up in there and just squishing it all around. I got the fats on the bottom of the bucket, so I got to pull it all up to the top and just get it good and mixed. Alright, I am officially finished mixing all the meat up. So I've got everything mixed up. I had a little bit more meat in the other bucket. I added some to this, so I've got about 30 to 31 pounds of meat here in this particular bucket. We really like the LEM backwoods maple breakfast sausage. For every 1 pound of meat that you have, you put 1 ounce of water, and then you take the packet of the seasoning, you put it in here, and you get it all good and mixed up. And then I will take this, I'm going to dump it in here and start getting it all mixed up. And then once it's all mixed up and I'm done with it, I'll stick it in the refrigerator. Leave it in the refrigerator for about 24 hours. And tomorrow when we get home from work, we'll take it and we'll package it up. And what we typically do is we package it up in 1 pound packages, vacuum seal it, stick it in the freezer, and it will technically last in the vacuum seal packaging for quite a bit of time. I don't know, maybe 2-3 years. But it will be devoured before that time period. So we're going to end up, I'm going to pour this in here now and then get it all mixed up. So I pour it in here and I mix it. I'm going to pour about half of it or so, and then I'm going to get it mixed, and then I'm going to pour another, well, maybe a third of it in there, get it mixed. I'll pour another third, mix that, and then another third instead of just dumping it all in at one time. All right, we are officially finished getting everything mixed up with the fat and the meat itself, and then obviously the sausage seasoning. So that's all done. So I'm gonna go take it and stick it in the refrigerator, let it sit, like I said earlier, for 24 hours, and then we'll vacuum seal it tomorrow, get it all packaged up in 1 pound packages, and get it stuck in the freezer and be ready to enjoy it at some point in time in the very near future. I will make sure to leave a few links in the description of the commercial grade meat grinder that we use, as well as the LEM maple breakfast sausage seasoning that you saw me put in and that we all just absolutely love. So I'll leave those links in the description, and please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you watching.